Hi everyone, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. Today I have a training tip for you. This one comes out of the ASP Unlimited app, and I am very grateful for everyone who is commenting in the ASP Unlimited app. We had a commenter, a subscriber in the app, and if you're watching this on YouTube, we invite you over to the ASP Unlimited app. We'd love to have you over there. I think it's a great place and a great community over there, and I answer all the questions I possibly can over there, which I can't do on YouTube. And he said, we were talking about, I made a video about support hand and dot acquisition those ways. And we've talked about that with two hands. We talked about a dominant hand, support hand. And he said, you know, John, what I do is I use my iron sights and I line my irons up. And when I get my irons on target, that then shows me my dot. And then I use my dot from there. I do not recommend that. And I told him that. I said, you know, listen, it doesn't mean you're evil. Doesn't mean that, you know, your baby's ugly and your mama's fat. But I really don't recommend you do that. I think that that's not training wheels. It's actually training scars. And I want to tell you why. Download the ASP Unlimited app for all the content you love from Active Self-Protection and more with no interference from YouTube. No ads, no age gates, exclusive videos, seminars, classes, and more on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, and Android TV. Hit the link in the description or download ASP Unlimited from your app store today. So I want to remember a couple of things. Iron sights are not a fundamental, okay? Pointing the gun is a fundamental. Remember, what do I want to do here? We always keep a firearm pointed in the direction of least consequence. We always keep our finger high and in register, high and at home until we made a decision to fire. We always keep firearms unloaded until they're in use. This one has a laser cartridge insert in it and a blocked magazine that's got, you know, so that I can rack the slide. Okay, and one of the things that we're talking about, again, iron sights are not a fundamental. Aiming the gun is a fundamental, and the way that you do that is based on technology. This particular gun, my training gun, has blacked out sights. Okay, so it's got blacked out front and rear as backup irons, and a Holosun 507C in green as my primary aiming system. We can talk about other parts of that and how you can back up. I lost the front sight on this gun for like a year and didn't have a front sight on it at all and didn't worry about it a bit because I've got other backup sighting systems with the optic that I can use. Anyhow, he does this thing where he drives the gun out in front of him, uses his iron sights to find the front sight, put it in the rear sight. That brings his dot into the window for him. Then he uses his dot and does all his pew. The problem with that is what we call IRacing. The IRacing problem of this then gets him, because what he does here is he's looking at his target or looking somewhere else, I don't care where, when the gun comes out and he starts driving it forward, his eyes focus plane comes back to here, comes back to this gun and back to the front sight. So it comes in close. So that requires the muscles in the eyes to refocus, change the shape of the lens of the eye in order to focus here rather than there, 3, 5, 7, 10 yards away. And so you bring that eye focus in, then once he has that, then, oh, there's my dot. Now I refocus my eyes out there. All that takes time, okay? And of course, to bring the eyesight in, to refocus the eyes takes somewhere in the neighborhood of 0.3 seconds, something like that. Can be a skosh faster, down to a quarter, up to as much as a half second, depending on your age. Remember, as you get older, you get a little what we call presbyopia, and that presbyopia changes how long it takes, or even your lenses can get hard enough that they won't refocus, and that's when your arms aren't long enough to read anymore, and you start needing reading glasses. Not that I know anything about that. So, and when they refocus, then they refocus back out. Well, now you might take 0.6 seconds or more to come in once and out once, and you're training yourself to then come back and look at the dot, go back and look at your target, come back and look at your dot, go back and look at your target. It's a really, really, really time-consuming process and a really bad idea. So we don't recommend it. I don't recommend it for sure. Now I say we, I don't know. I don't think Neil would recommend it, and I don't think Chris would recommend it. I don't think Carrie would. I'm pretty sure Stephanie wouldn't. As a general rule at Active Self-Protection, what we recommend instead is we recommend that you use that the front sight proud, not Charlie's Angels, but a front sight proud, and then driving the butt plate of the gun, the back plate of the gun up to your nose, which will bring your dot in from the top somewhere. and it brings it in from the top. And even if you drive over the top of it, you saw where it went and you can bring it back. Because if you just drive the gun out there and now you don't know where the heck your dot is, well, guess what? You don't know where your front sight is either. So what are you going to do? You're going to, well, there's a piece of front sight and now I know where it is. Oh, okay, fine. Well, you can do the same thing and shake, 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 senora, and find the dot somewhere and then bring the dot in if that's what you feel like you got to do. Instead, again, repeatable, and I don't care if we're doing one-handed, we're coming over the top this way. If we're doing support hand only and we're coming from that 12 o'clock position, if I'm in an odd shooting position like this and I drive the gun 12 to 6 relative to my face, it will always show up in that kind of predictable pattern where then I can steer it. And that takes me far less time than it does the iRacing. Because here's the thing, when I see that iRacing happen and I see there, drive it out, see it, hope, bang, then that's where we see draws to first shot that become 2.5, 2.8, 3.2 seconds and beyond. We see that on the range all the time. And let me tell you, if you got a 3.2 on the range, then what are you going to have in the real world? What are you going to have when you're under stress and things aren't going well? You're going to have a 4. And if you watch the big channel, how often do we see somebody need a 2.0, a 1.5, even a 1.2, or even a 1.0? We see that pretty regularly. And so if you don't have that and you can't get anywhere near 2 seconds, well, you don't have counter ambush opportunities until it is really late in the game. And so I want to cut as much off as I can. And so to cut 6/10 off of your draw just like that, just bang, by removing the iRacing problem, I strongly recommend that. Now, once again, I'm not saying you got to use an optic. If you want to use iron sights, cool. I think for the most part, what we teach now, what I teach now at least, is if you're using irons, you still stay target focused, drive the gun out 12 to 6, and as the front sight kind of comes into your vision, just settle it inside your rear sight. And don't look at your front sight until you get out to about 8 yards, 9 yards. You probably can do a soft front sight, hard target focus, and get plenty good hits on certainly on full value targets and A zones. Maybe not headshots at those kind of distances, but what we find is people can do that, and that is a lot closer to what they'll do in real life. So, at the end of the day, don't use your front sight and your iron sights to find your dot. You're costing yourself at least a half a second in your presentation to do that. And remember, it is really hard to miss fast enough to win a gunfight, but it is super easy to hit slow enough to lose one. And we don't want you to lose, and tenths of seconds matter. So master staying target focused. Your front sight on a dot shooter for a dot is the target. And master that 12 to 6 presentation so that that gun, the back plate comes up to your nose and drops your dot in from 12 o'clock. And then you don't have to iRace and you cut that 6/10 of a second out and your draw gets faster, and that gives you better opportunities in a defensive gunfight. God bless.